Your name is Meta. Your hands have counted an empire. Every sack of maize in every storehouse, every soldier in every valley, every birth, every death, for 50 years. Tonight your hands hold a single chord, and they must decide what the empire is still allowed to remember. But that is the end. Begin where the chord began. You are 10 years old. It is a cold, bright morning, so high in the mountains that the air is thin, and the sun has an edge to it like a blade. Below you the valley falls away in green terraces, step after step, down to a river you can hear but cannot see. Your father kneels in front of you. He is a khipukamayuq, a keeper of knots, and his father was, and his father before him. And now it is your turn. He lays a length of cream-colored wool across your 2 open palms. It is soft. It smells of the llama it came from. He takes the cord, and with his thumb and 1 finger, he ties a single knot near the top, and he says the first words you will carry for the rest of your life. This is Hanan, the number 1. Everything begins here. You do not understand yet what you are holding. Your people have no marks that speak, no painted signs like the strangers will one day bring across the sea. What your people have is this: a cord and a color and a knot, and a man who remembers what they mean. Your father teaches you the colors first. Yellow is maize, and yellow is gold. White is silver, and white is peace. Red is war, and red is the count of soldiers. He teaches you the long knot, and the figure of 8 knot, and how a knot's place upon the cord, high or low, tells you whether it counts 1s or 10s or 100s. By the time you are a man, you can read a fistful of chords the way the strangers will one day read a page, except that no one taught the page to remember itself. Only you remember. The chord without you is just string. You become the keeper of the storehouses, the kolka, ranked in their hundreds on the cool hillside above the town, round stone bins full of dried maize and potato and wool and weapons, enough to feed an army through a bad year. When the governor needs to know what the empire holds, he does not walk the hill and count. He sends for you. One morning, a chasqui runner arrives across the rope bridge, barefoot, still gasping, and lays a fresh cord in your hands from 3 valleys away. You read it aloud while the governor waits. 400 fighting men, short by 100 spears, and here is the thing you love. When you read, the empire moves. Before you have rolled the cord, a runner is already sprinting back down the royal road, and within the hour, 100 men in the southern valleys are reaching for their spears. You read the surplus maize in the 3rd storehouse, and porters climb the hill, and a granary door is hauled open, and a column of food goes out to a province that is starving. You are not a man talking to himself. You are the hinge on which a kingdom turns. You are never wrong. You marry. You have children. You teach your own son the first knot, the way your father taught you. The cord across the small palms. This is Hanan. Everything begins here. And his fingers are clever, and you are proud. And then something comes up the road that has no color. It comes faster than any runner, faster than news should travel. A sickness. It covers the skin in sores. It burns the body from inside. It takes the strong and the young as easily as the old. No one has seen it before. There is no knot for it, because it has never once been counted in the history of your people. You hear, at last, where it began. The Sapa Inca himself, Huayna Capac, the son of the sun, is dead of it in the north, in Quito. And you have not yet heard the word for the men who brought it. The strangers are still a rumor on a far coast. The sickness arrived before they did. Your work becomes terrible. You take a fresh cord, a dark one, kept apart for this, and you begin to tie the dead. A knot for a household, a knot for a household. The cord fills, and you splice on more, and it fills again. The empire keeps its books, even as it dies in your hands. You count honestly. You count the children, though you do not want to, because a keeper who lies to himself is no keeper at all. And one night, when the official cord is rolled and put away, you take out a second cord that no governor has ever asked to see, and you tie one knot in it. It is for your son, the one whose clever fingers you taught the first knot, who did not live to grow. You do not say his name aloud, you fold the cord into the small woven bag at your hip, and you keep it there. It is the only record you have ever made for yourself. The empire does not heal, it splits. The dead Inca's two sons turn on each other, and their armies pass through your valley taking what they need. And one frightened governor calls you in and tells you to make the storehouse cord lie, to tie a smaller number than the truth so the surplus can be hidden from whichever brother wins. It is the first time in your life your cords have been asked to deceive. You do it, but you keep the true number in your memory where no army can reach it, because you have understood something the governor has not. A cord can be made to lie, but the man who reads it does not have to forget the truth. Then a runner comes with news that no cord in the world has a color for. The new Sapa Inca, Atahualpa, has been seized. Bearded strangers have taken him in the great square at Cajamarca, the same men the sickness ran ahead of. They came with thunder. They came with animals no one has ever seen, animals a man can sit upon and ride. And now they will sell the Sapa Inca back. A room is to be filled once with gold and twice with silver, as high as a man can reach. And you are ordered to keep the count, to tally on your cords the gold as it is stripped from the temple walls and carried north to ransom your king. And here, with the temple gold heaped before you, a thought comes that you could act on. Every keeper now knows the cords can lie. You could tie a short count. You could let some of this gold vanish from the record, enough perhaps to buy back your own valley's gods instead of the captive in the north. Your hand hangs over the cord. It would be so easy. It would even feel like loyalty. You tie the true number, not because you are obedient, because a false ransom cord might be discovered, and a discovered lie might get the Sapa Inca killed, and you will not be the knot on which a king dies. So you count honestly the dismantling of your own gods, panel by golden panel, knowing exactly what your honesty is helping to pay for. It is not enough. They take the gold, and they kill him anyway, and the strangers do not leave. For a while, and this is the strangest part, the part you did not expect, they need you. A man of theirs sits at a table with a white leaf and a sharpened feather dipped in black, and you read your cords aloud to him. The tribute owed, the men who can work, the maize in the storehouses, and he turns your knots into his little marks. You are useful to the new masters. They pay you. They call you Don, a word of respect in their tongue. For a few years, you let yourself believe the knots will go on. But you watch the marks, and slowly you understand what is happening to you. Everything you read becomes a leaf, and once a thing is on the leaf, the masters trust the leaf, and no one ever needs the cord again. The young men see this clearly, sooner than you did. They stop coming to learn the knots. They go to learn the feather and the black water, because the feather has a future, and the knots do not. You are reading your life's work into the very thing that will replace it. Every cord you translate is a cord no one will ever read after you are gone. And then your own apprentice, the boy you started on the first knot, the way your father started you, the way you once started your own son, kneels in front of you and asks to be released. He wants to learn the feather. He cannot meet your eyes. And the worst of it, the thing that closes your throat, is that he is right and you both know he is right, and there is nothing to forgive. You do not curse him. You take a cord and you lay it across his palm one last time, the way it was laid across yours on a cold, bright morning 60 years ago. And then you let it fall. The line that came down to you through your father and his father ends here, in your own two hands, by your own consent. When the boy has gone, you sit a long time with the cords over your shoulder, and you understand that you may be the last pair of hands in this whole valley that can still hear what these strings are saying. You are an old man when the last order comes down the road from the city they now call Lima. The priests have met, and they have decided the cords are idols, instruments of the devil. They are to be gathered, and they are to be burned. The friars come for the storehouse archive. You do not let their hands do it. You carry the cords out yourself. Decades of counting, the census, the tribute, the long dark cord of the plague dead, and you lay them on the fire with your own hands. And you learn one final thing about the cords that you never knew, because no one had ever burned them in front of you before. Wool does not burn like wood, and it does not burn like the stranger's leaves. It smoulders, it curls, and it gives off a smell that is sharp and animal, the smell of scorched hair, and it fills your nose and your mouth, and it is the smell of your whole life, and you will carry it until you die. But you did not give them everything. That night, in your house, by the light of one small lamp, there is a child in front of you, your grandchild, 10 years old, the age you were on the morning of the first knot. And from the woven bag at your hip, you take the one cord you never surrendered, the private cord, the dead you loved, the true counts you never let die. You lay it across the small open palms. You tie the first knot near the top. This is Hanan, you say, the number one. Everything begins here. And then you do the thing the friars could never burn, the thing that is the whole secret of your people. You speak the key. Yellow is maize, red is the soldiers. This long knot, here, near the top. This is the year your great-grandmother died. And you make the child say it back to you, once, again, a third time. Because a quipu cannot be read from the cord alone. It is half an object and half a voice, and the voice must be passed from a living mouth to a living ear, or the knots are only string. The priests burned what they could find, but hundreds of cords survived, walled up inside houses, buried with the dead, hidden in caves too dry to rot them. 600 of them lie in museums tonight. You can stand in front of the glass. You can count the knots with your own eyes. You cannot read them. The fire did not take the cords. The fire took the voices that knew what the cords meant. Maita's voice and his grandchild's, and the long chain of voices that broke somewhere in the 400 years between that night and this one. A quipu is not the knots. A quipu is the knots and the one who remembers what they say. Somewhere in a drawer tonight there is a cord with a single knot near the top. It means the number one. It means everything begins here, and no one alive knows what it was counting.